Very good afternoon. You're watching the midday news on Rajya Sabha television. All the developing news stories at the top of this hour coming up ahead. I'm Ashwarya Kapoor. First up, a look at the headlines. UN designates Jaish-e-Mohammed chief Masood Azhar as a global terrorist. Vice President Naidu lauds efforts of India and all UNSC members. Prime Minister Modi calls it a big success for India's efforts to root out terrorism. World leaders welcome UN's decision. The European Union concerned over persecution of religious minorities in Pakistan. Warns of suspending all subsidies and trade preferences if Islamabad does not end discrimination. Supreme Court to hear petition on Rahul Gandhi's citizenship issue next week. Petition seeks Congress President's disqualification from contesting Lok Sabha polls. And red alert in coastal Odisha as extremely severe cyclone Fani inches closer. Over 8 lakh people being evacuated from coastal areas. East Coast Railway cancels over 100 trains. Rescue agencies on high alert. The biggest story of the day: after almost a decade-long diplomatic efforts by India, the United Nations on Wednesday designated Pakistan-based Jaish-e-Mohammed chief Masood Azhar as a global terrorist. This after China lifted its hold on a proposal to blacklist him, which was moved by France, the UK and the US in the United Nations Security Council's 1267 Al-Qaeda Sanctions Committee in February after the Pulwama attacks. China had previously blocked the Sanctions Committee from imposing sanctions on Masood Azhar in 2016 and in 2017. The UNSC designation will subject Masood Azhar to an assets freeze, a travel ban and also an arms embargo. And India's ambassador and permanent representative to the United Nations, Syed Akbaruddin, confirmed the development on Twitter yesterday.
The chairperson of the UN Sanctions Committee, the permanent representative of Indonesia, has informed us that Masood Azhar stands designated as an individual who has been promoting terrorism globally. This is for us a significant outcome because we have been at it for several years. The first effort that we made in this regard was in 2009. More recently, we have been persistent, diligent, and in a subterranean manner making all our efforts towards this goal. That goal stands achieved. I'm grateful to the many countries who were supportive of this effort. The designating states, that is USA, UK and France. Also several others within the Council and outside the Council who came forward without any restraints and supported this Indian effort at not tolerating a terrorist. Finally, I'd like to thank the permanent representative of Indonesia who was instrumental in ensuring that the process went smoothly and in accordance with our agreed understandings. All in all, it's been a happy day, a good day for all those who would like to pursue the approach of zero tolerance for terrorism.
The Ministry of External Affairs has also welcomed the move, calling it a step in the right direction to demonstrate the international community's resolve to fight against terrorism and its enablers. The MEA in a statement said that India will continue with its efforts through international forums to ensure that terrorist organizations and their leaders who cause harm to our citizens are brought to justice. In 2009, India had moved a proposal by itself to designate Azhar as a global terrorist, and then in 2016, after the Pathankot air base attack, India had moved the proposal along with the US, the UK and France to ban Azhar, which was vetoed by China. And a year later, in 2017 also, the P3 nations moved a similar proposal, which yet again was blocked by China. And welcoming the ban on Masood Azhar, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that the decision is a big success for India's efforts to root out terrorism and has proved that the country's voice can no longer be ignored on the global stage. And top leaders cutting across party lines have also welcomed the move.
After untiring efforts taken by the Prime Minister in isolating Pakistan and in underlying the need to declare globally recognized but yet unannounced till last evening the terror mastermind Masood Azhar as a terrorist. This UN announcement has been waiting for a long time, and we all know the reasons behind why it has taken the time as it has taken. But it is specific, and it is necessary to clearly point out that in every such opportunity that the Prime Minister had during his bilateral talks with countries and in multilateral fora, the need to recognize Pakistan as the land which, as per publicly available data, more than 35 declared terrorist organizations which have been called out as being terror organizations, are located in Pakistan. And from among them, Masood Azhar's name as the leader and the mastermind of several attacks which spanned over a decade have all been recognized.
अभी अमेरिका से, न्यूयॉर्क से मीडिया रिपोर्ट आ रही है कि आज यूएन ने, संयुक्त राष्ट्र ने आतंकवादी संगठन जैसे मोहम्मद के सरगना कुख्यात आतंकवादी मसूद अजहर पर प्रतिबंध लगा दिया है। मसूद अजहर को संयुक्त राष्ट्र द्वारा आतंकवादी घोषित करने पर आखिरकार विश्व में सहमति बनी, यह संतोष का विषय है। देर आए दुरुस्त आए। आतंकवाद के खिलाफ संघर्ष में और आतंकवाद को जड़ से उखाड़ने के लिए लंबे समय से भारत जो प्रयास कर रहा था, ये उसकी बहुत बड़ी सफलता है।
And Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu has also welcomed the UN's decision to blacklist Masood Azhar. In a tweet, Vice President Naidu urged other countries to display similar consensus at all times in combating terrorism and in bringing the perpetrators of the terrorist crimes to book. And in some international reactions, China said that it took the decision to lift the technical hold on Azhar as a global terrorist after it found no objection to the listing proposal by the US, the UK and France following a careful study of the revised materials. And the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has also expressed hope that all the member states will abide by the decisions of the Sanctions Committee that has subject Azhar to an arms embargo, assets freeze and a travel ban. And France said that the decision signaled the successful realization of efforts to ban Azhar. The US said that the move demonstrates an international commitment to root out terrorism in Pakistan. The US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo also welcomed the move and said that this is a victory for the American diplomacy and the international community against terrorism. And the European Union has also expressed concern over persecution of religious minorities in Pakistan. The EU has threatened to suspend all subsidies and trade preferences to Islamabad if it does not take measures to dismantle its discriminatory system. In a letter to Prime Minister Imran Khan, 51 members of the European Parliament said that the oppression of religious minorities violated the United Nations Treaty on the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The Commission held previous and present Pakistan governments responsible for contributing and encouraging acts of violence against minorities by radical Islamic groups. The European Union also expressed grave concern over the case of Asia Bibi, a Christian woman who had been falsely charged under the draconian blasphemy law. The EU said that the existence of such religious discriminatory laws encourage citizens to engage in intolerant and violent acts against non-Muslims. And our Foreign Affairs editor, Akhilesh Suman, is now joining us live from the newsroom. Akhilesh, of course, designating Jaish-e chief as a global terror is a big diplomatic win for India. But at the same time, there is now an increased pressure on Pakistan because US said that, blacklisting Masood Azhar demonstrates a commitment to rooting out terrorism in Pakistan. And now EU has also expressed concern over the persecution of religious minorities in Pakistan. So obviously a lot of pressure on Pakistan to, introspect and take corrective measures.
Yeah, right. That American leaders and American officials are also telling that Pakistan civilian government and Pakistan military establishment are two different things. Civilian government cooperates. They say that civilian government cooperates more often than not, but Pakistani military doesn't cooperate on the issue of terrorism. And that is the biggest problem in Pakistan, that the two major systems of the Pakistani society, Pakistani governance don't work in tandem. And that is why that most of the problems are, because India-Pakistan, when India-Pakistan talks go on, there is some sort of disturbance from some quarters of Pakistan, and more often than not it is said that it is at the behest of Pakistani army. Remember Kargil, Pathankot, everything there is some hand of Pakistani ISI or Pakistani army in that. So American and international pressure is on Pakistani army now. The Pakistani army has to oblige the international community, United Nations and United Nations Security Council resolutions that how they will curb the menace of terrorism, because terrorists have been growing in Pakistan at the behest of ISI and Pakistani army in the name of, somewhere in different names. And I think that Pakistani army should be taking action. And Imran Khan, when he took oath of power, he declared a national action plan. A national action plan also includes, curbing terrorism and how he can, root out terrorist organizations from their soil. Because he could sense the economic depression that Pakistan will be facing in coming days, and the whole world, that coming down heavily against Pakistan to maintain their financial flow to terrorist organization, and that is why the case is in FATF now, and FATF has put Pakistan in grey list, and even China did not support Pakistan in FATF lastly. So I think Pakistan has to take action against Masood Azhar.
Indeed,
it will not be like Hafiz Saeed that they had been doing, leaving them to roam free. I think there is enough international pressure this time,
Absolutely. A lot of pressure on Pakistan. Thank you so much, Akhilesh. And right now, let's cut across to the CBSE, which is holding a press conference. It has declared the results of the Class 12 examinations. 84.3% students have passed. Let's take a listen.
Now I want to give you the list of toppers in children with special needs. इसमें जो टॉप परफॉर्मिंग कैंडिडेट 489 मार्क्स पे सिंगल कैंडिडेट लावण्या बालाकृष्णन, शी इज फ्रॉम द हेरिटेज स्कूल गुड़गांव. This is children with disabilities. Lavanya Balakrishnan. She is from Heritage School, Gurgaon. फिर second perform, हाँ जी, 489. देन सेकंड एंड थर्ड पोजीशन पे 485 एंड 484 मार्क्स पे 3 बच्चे हैं इन CWSL। आप कहें तो लिखवा दूँ, अदरवाइज वी विल बी सेंडिंग दिस टू। भेज दिया, ये हम आपको भेज देंगे। सो लावण्या की कैटेगरी इज फिजिकल हैंडीकैप। हाँ, हेरिटेज स्कूल गुड़गांव। हाँ, और ये सेकंड तो हम इनको भेज दे रहे हैं। देन इंटरेस्टिंग स्टैटिस्टिक्स, CWSL में children who have scored more than 95% and above in single subjects, वो 36 ऐसे बच्चे हैं। 36
कितने बनाए मैडम?
चिल्ड्रन विद स्पेशल नीड्स जिन्होंने 95% एंड अबव सिंगल सब्जेक्ट में स्कोर किया है, ऐसे 36 बच्चे हैं। एंड ये जो बाकी बच्चे हैं उसमें 95% एंड अबव इन अ सब्जेक्ट जिन्होंने स्कोर किया, ऐसे 17,693 बच्चे हैं इस टाइम। 17,693 जनरल में ओपन।
All right, so the CBSE Class 12 results 2019 have been announced. 83.4% is the pass percentage. And if you want to check your results, of course, you can go to the CBSE website and check them on cbseresults.nic.in. All right, let's move on in the bulletin now and let's talk about weather updates. Well, a massive operation was launched in Odisha today to evacuate over 8 lakh people from low-lying coastal areas as the extremely severe cyclonic storm Fani moves closer to the eastern coast. Now, people are being shifted to 880 temporary cyclone centers and at least 14 Odisha districts, including Puri, Balasore and Cuttack, are likely to bear the brunt of the cyclone. And as per the latest bulletin of the IMD, Fani will cross the Odisha coast near Puri on Friday evening. And the IMD has forecast rainfall at most places. Extremely heavy rainfall is forecast at isolated places in coastal Odisha and the interior districts on Friday. Several areas are also likely to receive rainfall up to 20 centimeters under the impact of the cyclone. The East Coast Railway has cancelled over 103 trains for the safety and the security of passengers in view of the cyclones. The tourists have also been asked to leave Puri by Thursday evening, and all schools and colleges remain closed. Meanwhile, Navy, Air Force, Army and Coast Guard as well as NDRF and Odisha Disaster Rapid Action Force have been put on high alert. Fani is also likely to impact Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu and West Bengal.
कल ओडिशा में रेनफॉल विशेष भाव से वृद्धि होगा ऑल कोस्टल ओडिशा डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स में, और इसके साथ साथ जो इंटीरियर डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स है एडजॉइनिंग एरिया पे, वो सभी जगह पे बारिश होने के साथ साथ कुछ इलाका में हैवी टू वेरी हैवी रेनफॉल होने का उम्मीद किया जा रहा है। और आइसोलेटेड प्लेसेस में एक्सट्रीमली हैवी रेनफॉल यानी 20 सेंटीमीटर से ज़्यादा हो सकता है। इवन इफ 1-2 स्टेशन 30 सेंटीमीटर से ज़्यादा रेन भी रिकॉर्ड कर सकता है।
On to some other news. Chandrayaan-2 has got yet another launch window. The mission is now set to be launched anytime between 9th to 16th of July this year. ISRO announced that the moon landing is likely to be around 6th of September this year. It will be launched from Satish Dhawan Space Center in Sriharikota in Andhra Pradesh. In a statement, the space organization said that the second lunar mission of ISRO will have 3 modules: the orbiter, lander and rover. The orbiter and lander will be interfaced mechanically and stacked together as an integrated module and accommodated inside the GSLV Mk3 launch vehicle. The mission would land on the southern pole of the moon, which has not been explored much before by any of the countries. And now a look at all the election-related news. The Election Commission has cleared Prime Minister Narendra Modi's speech in Latur last month, saying that it is not violative of its instruction on invoking armed forces in poll campaigns. Addressing a rally in Maharashtra's Latur on 9th of April, Prime Minister Narendra Modi had urged the first-time voters to dedicate their votes in the name of Balakot airstrike heroes and the soldiers martyred in the Pulwama attack. The poll panel said that after examining the matter in detail, the Commission is of the view that no violation of the advisories or provisions is attracted. Earlier in the month of March, the Election Commission had asked the political parties to desist from indulging in political propaganda involving the actions of our armed forces. And the Election Commission has also issued a show-cause notice to Congress President Rahul Gandhi. The notice has been sent over his alleged remarks over the tribal law newly enacted by the government. Now, citing his speech made in Shahadol in Madhya Pradesh on 23rd of April, the Election Commission pointed at a provision of the Model Code which bars unverified allegations to be levelled against political opponents. Now, Rahul Gandhi has been given 48 hours to respond to the notice. The Supreme Court will hear a petition on Congress President Rahul Gandhi's citizenship issue next week. The petition seeks a disqualification of Rahul Gandhi from contesting the Lok Sabha polls. It also wants his name to be removed from the electoral rolls. The Home Ministry had issued a notice to Rahul Gandhi on 29th of April to clarify his nationality within a fortnight after BJP MP Subramaniam Swamy alleged that he is a British national. He cited a document of a British company in which Rahul Gandhi served as one of its directors. The document mentioned Rahul Gandhi's citizenship as British. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu has released the special issue of Policy Proposals of India. In his book, senior bureaucrats of the country have expressed their views on strengthening Indian democracy. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu congratulated the editor, Anubhav Srivastava, for coming up with the collector's edition journal.
पॉलिसी प्रपोजल फॉर इंडिया किताब का विमोचन उपराष्ट्रपति एम वेंकैया नायडू ने किया है। हमारे साथ राज्यसभा के महासचिव देश दीपक वर्मा जी हैं, जिन्होंने इस किताब का फॉरवर्ड भी लिखा है। हम इससे बात करते हैं क्या खास बातें हैं इस किताब में। सर, जो किताब उपराष्ट्रपति महोदय ने अभी विमोचन किया है, चूँकि आप एक वरिष्ठ सिविल सेवक भी रहे हैं, किन खास बातों का उल्लेख आपने किया है?
देखिए, ये जो किताब है, एक यंग हमारे एंटरप्रेन्योर जर्नलिस्ट मिस्टर अनुभव श्रीवास्तव ने ये एफर्ट किया हुआ है, और इस जो मैगज़ीन है उसका एक बहुत अच्छा थीम है, एंड इट सेज दैट वी आर नॉट अगेंस्ट द इस्टेब्लिशमेंट बट वी आर अगेंस्ट द स्टेटस को। आई थिंक दिस इज़ द काइंड ऑफ थीम दैट शुड परमिएट इनटू आवर ब्यूरोक्रेसी एंड इनटू आवर इंटायर पॉलिटिकल सिस्टम, that we want to make change and make change for good.
सर, चूँकि अच्छी खासी तादाद में युवा नौकरशाहों का पदार्पण हो रहा है इस देश में, अच्छी खासी तादाद में लोग यूपीएससी प्रिपरेशन करके यहाँ पे आ रहे हैं, तो यूथ जो युवा ब्यूरोक्रेट्स हैं उनके लिए इस जर्नल के माध्यम से क्या संदेश दिया गया है?
मैं समझता हूँ कि ये बड़ा आवश्यक है। जैसा मैंने कहा कि जो युवा हमारा नौकरशाह है उसके में सिनिसिज्म नहीं आनी चाहिए। कई बार ऐसा होता है, वो सोचते हैं कि नहीं, कुछ नहीं हो सकता, ये चीज़ें इतनी ख़राब हो चुकी हैं, कभी सुधार नहीं हो सकता। ऐसा नहीं है, और ये ऐसे उदाहरण प्रस्तुत करता है जिसमें लोगों ने उन्हीं परिस्थितियों में और कई बार बड़ी प्रतिकूल परिस्थितियों में परिणाम दिया है, और ये लोगों को शो किया है, जनता से जुड़कर, पॉलिटिशियन से सामंजस्य स्थापित किए हुए, नीचे की ब्यूरोक्रेसी को साथ में लेते हुए ऐसे रिजल्ट्स दिए हुए हैं जो कि एक माइलस्टोन की तरह है। तो हमारा यंगर जनरेशन से सबसे ज़्यादा जो मैं इस आर्टिकल, इस जर्नल के माध्यम से अपील करना चाहूँगा कि उनको अपना विश्वास अपनी सिस्टम में, अपनी कार्य क्षमता में और भविष्य में कुछ कर पाने की संभावनाओं में रखना चाहिए। अगर वो रखेंगे तो निश्चित रूप से इस देश का भविष्य बहुत अच्छा होगा।
तो महासचिव महोदय का संदेश साफ है कि इस जर्नल के माध्यम से जो युवा नौकरशाह हैं उनको अपनी कार्यक्षमता पे विश्वास करके जो देश की लोकतांत्रिक कार्यप्रणाली है उसको आगे बढ़ाना होगा। कैमरामैन राज ठाकुर के साथ मोहम्मद फातेह टीपू, राज्यसभा टीवी, दिल्ली।
On the top international focus, WikiLeaks co-founder Julian Assange has been sentenced to 50 weeks in jail for breaching his bail conditions. Julian Assange was found guilty of breaching the Bail Act last month after his arrest at the Ecuadorian embassy. He took refuge in the London embassy in 2012 to avoid extradition to Sweden over sexual assault allegations, which he has denied. In a letter read to the court, Assange said that he had found himself struggling with difficult circumstances. He apologized to those who consider that I have disrespected them, and sentencing him, the judge told Assange that it was difficult to envisage a more serious example of the offense. Now, Assange faces separate court hearing on US federal conspiracy charges related to one of the largest leaks of the government. The UK will decide whether to extradite Assange to the US. He faces up to 5 years in a US prison if convicted. And that is the wrap on this edition of Midday News. Thanks so much for your time.